Hello, everyone. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you so much for joining this informational webinar for the TCU Energy and Food Sovereignty Prize. We are happy to have you here. And I'll start out with just a couple of notes before we get into the meat of this presentation. First of all, you may have already seen that this webinar is being recorded. It will be available on HeroX, which is the official prize platform. We'll get that posted by tomorrow, and then by next week, it will also have transcripts on the video. And then apart from that, it will be available on HeroX. And please ask questions in the Q&A. You'll see most likely it's at the bottom of your Zoom screen, box with a question mark that says Q&A. And then at the end of this presentation, we'll answer all of the questions in the Q&A. So with that, I'd like to welcome Stephanie Bostwick from the Office of Indian Energy and Danny Zimny-Schmidt from NREL, or National Renewable Energy Labs, who is the prize lead of this prize. Danny, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Stacy, and thank you everyone for being here today. Just going to start with a brief agenda. We're going to start by providing a brief prize overview of what the TCU Energy and Food Nexus Prize is. We'll then move on to eligibility for the prize and the prizes we have available to win. We'll move into the timeline and the different phases along the way. Then we'll move on to expectations for prize submissions. What are we asking you for? And how do you win different prizes along the way? And then we'll cover some next steps and some of the logistics of how to apply. And at the end, of course, we'll leave a little bit of time for questions. Just as a high-level overview of the prize to kick things off, the prize offers a total of $4.1 million to tribal colleges and universities in the United States for creating projects that align at this intersection of clean energy and food sovereignty. So essentially, this prize is encouraging TCUs to develop student-led demonstration projects that will work to increase their knowledge on both clean energy and food sovereignty on TCU campuses. So these projects might include things like greenhouses that are heated or cooled by geothermal ground source energy, greenhouses that are powered by wind, or solar arrays that provide shade for crops to grow or livestock to graze. So this is not like an exhaustive list, but this kind of gives you an idea of some of the projects that we are looking for that combine both the energy and food sovereignty aspects. This prize is exclusively available to 35 TCUs based in the United States. Our registration is now open, and the main thing is that one team per tribal college or university is eligible to apply. So if there are different students on the same campus who would like to apply, we encourage you to team up together to develop a plan for your specific campus and apply together as a single team. And the other main eligibility criteria is that all competing teams must be student-led and supported by faculty. So faculty cannot lead these submissions. They're very welcome to partner with a student team who is eligible and provide a lot of that background knowledge of the history of like the campus, the area, and which project might be a good fit. But the teams must be student-led, and there must be a student as the team captain. Any funds won in this competition will be awarded directly to the TCUs to support projects on these campuses. So the money will not go directly to the student applicants, but rather to their TCU to carry out the projects they are proposing. And a final point, different TCUs, like so multiple TCUs, are welcome to apply as part of a consortium where one TCU will assume the lead role, but the project itself that's being proposed could be on any of the TCU campuses that are part of that consortium. So if there are perhaps students who want to work across campuses and have an idea, they can kind of team up together as part of this consortium. For prizes to win, this is a kind of successive prize with different phases along the way. So the eligibility for each phase, as I covered for the first phase, is any of the 35 TCUs, and the eligibility for each successive phase in the contest is based upon winning the previous phase. So for phase one, we will award up to 30 winners with a $40,000 cash prize to each of the winning TCUs, which includes a $10,000 travel allowance to allow the team to participate at the 2025 Indian Energy Program review that is scheduled for that November in Denver. And what we're asking for in this phase is for you to build the team, show us that your team has the capacity to do this, and summarize the project that you are proposing for the TCU campus. Of those 30 winners, they will all be invited to compete in phase 2A, which is the planning and permitting phase. And in this phase, teams will create a detailed project plan about the execution of their idea. And winning teams will each win $75,000 cash prize. There is no down select, so anyone who is selected as a winner of phase 2A will continue on to phase 2B and be eligible for another $60,000 cash prize for each of the TCUs with the intention of constructing your project with the funds that have been kind of accumulated along the way through these different phases. And the final phase will be for presentations and awards based on kind of like the working prototypes or completed projects on each of these campuses. So we'll have a first prize of $75,000, a second place prize of $50,000, third place of $35,000, and up to 4 honorable mentions at $10,000 each. And of course, as I mentioned from the first phase, anyone who wins a first phase prize will be funded and will be expected to travel to be part of the Indian Energy Program review next November. And of course, all the phase 3 winners will be invited to attend and speak at that same review. For the prize timeline, so we're in phase 1 right now. So we're asking you to form a team and develop a project plan for a chance at one of those 30 prizes of $40,000 each for that initial project deployment. This phase is roughly 3 months. We announced it last month. We're doing a lot of outreach and promotion this month, and submissions are due on December 4th, 2024. We'll do a review period over the holiday break in December. And beginning in January, we'll announce the winners from phase 1. And those 30 winning teams will be invited to start phase 2A, which is the planning and permitting phase. You'll complete all of your pre-work, permitting, kind of some of those steps along the way, and have a submission date in April of 2025. And again, there's not a down selection between phase 2A and phase 2B, so those 20 teams will continue through the process and have 5 months to do the construction and demonstration planning of their identified project over the course of kind of the late spring, so end of the spring semester on into September of 2025. And then that final deadline for phase 3, where you demonstrate the results and the sustainability of your projects, will be awarded those first, second, third place prizes and the honorable mentions in November. So the kind of the full breadth of this prize is just over a year in length, broken down into kind of different phases along the way. For the scope of our prize projects, we encourage TCUs to incorporate local traditional crops or livestock into their design, as well as the relevant clean energy systems to ensure that food is sustainably grown for their local environments. Obviously, different TCUs have a lot of different kind of geographic contexts on which they exist. So what might work for our campus in Arizona may be different than North Dakota or somewhere further east. So we encourage you to think historically in terms of what would be a good fit for both the energy and food sovereignty components of your designs. Again, these might be greenhouses heated or cooled by geothermal ground source energy, greenhouses powered by wind or solar arrays to provide shade for crops or livestock. But we very much don't want to limit you to one of these options. We understand there's a lot more local contexts. And so if you have any kind of questions about a project that might qualify, we strongly encourage you to reach out. We're here to answer your questions along the way. And again, as students and faculty advance through the phases of the prize, they will form teams and create a plan, and then move on to that permitting and pre-work in the second phase, and then the construction and demonstration in later phases. We also will be providing some support in the form of a power connector. This prize is part of the American-Made Challenges, which is a group of large number of prizes for entrepreneurs working in the clean energy space, as well as student teams working in the clean energy space. And of course, that this prize is included amongst that portfolio. And the American-Made Network partners with power connectors, which are essentially organizations that we're contracting with to provide you some extra guidance and support. If you have questions along the way, we want to provide you with more resources to be successful. And if anyone is a little bit unsure of how to navigate, say, the submission website or what qualifies as a project, we want to make sure that you feel supported along the way. And that is why we will be contracting with the power connector that you'll be able to contact if you have any questions kind of along the way through the submission deadline. We are still identifying which power connector will be the best fit for this prize. But as soon as we have that information, we have them contracted, we will provide an update on the competition website and provide you with an email address, phone numbers, office hours, where you'll be able to find them and access that support. I'm now going to move on to talking about what we expect for the phase 1 submission. So this is the submission that has the December 4th deadline. So it's around 7 weeks away. So plenty of time to work on a submission package. I just wanted to highlight that this phase is really just about putting together a team, defining an idea, and doing a little bit of kind of like your pre-work or homework on what that might look like in your local context, but doesn't require all of the kind of permitting steps or constructing anything yet. So 7 weeks might not feel like a long time, but it's definitely a doable lift for what we're expecting in this first phase. So again, you'll be recruiting student team members, you'll be coordinating with other students on your campus who maybe have an idea, and developing a plan for this energy and food sovereignty nexus project. So you'll be developing a general project schedule, a team roster, who your faculty support will be, and some initial building project plans. The submission package that we're asking for in this phase will be an online 90-second video that's meant to introduce your project to a wider audience. So this will be publicly available. It's kind of like, look what we're doing. Our plan is for this campus. We're really excited to share just kind of a high-level overview with you. It will include a cover page with some basic information about your team, a project narrative, which is a longer document I'll talk about more on the next slide, that will not be made public because that will include a few more details very specific to your project. A summary PowerPoint slide, which, like the video, is meant to kind of showcase at a high level what you are trying to accomplish and build on your campus. A letter of commitment from your TCU, just so we know that you have communicated your intent to participate with the administration and leadership. and an optional letter of commitment or support from any community or outside organizations you might like to partner with. So if there are kind of local partners who have worked on these types of sustainability projects or anything similar to that, we'd love to see that you are in contact with them. And these additional letters of commitment and support can only help you through the process. The review criteria for the first phase is essentially boiling down to that project narrative that I mentioned, where there are 3 specific questions posed. And we ask that the response does not exceed 2,500 words. So to give you an idea, that's a few pages worth of material, maybe aided and abetted by some photos, some diagrams, a timeline, things like that. The first question is on your project overview and the community benefits. And in this section, we are asking you to address your project's approach to integrating energy and food sovereignty, some preliminary design, and the anticipated benefits to the tribal community and sustainability that will be realized from this project. The second question is the specifics about your project plan. So what are your project milestones and timeline? What is your plan for doing some of the permitting and material procurement and construction? As I mentioned, you don't have to complete these steps this phase, but we want to see that you're already thinking ahead and have a plan for how you're going to do them in the spring. It should also include some general information on your budget and your timeline, any partnerships with outside organizations you intend to use to realize these, and a discussion of some of the potential risks or challenges with the idea you have identified. And the final question is all about your team and the experience they have. So this can include an introduction to the TCU campus, the surrounding community, who the student team is, including what each of their roles and responsibilities will be, who their faculty advisors are and what their backgrounds are, as well as an overview of the team's diversity and experience working on similar projects. So why should you participate in this prize? It sounds like a lot of work. Well, there are a lot of great reasons why it's well worth that work. We're asking you to use clean energy to grow food self-sufficiently with sources on tribal lands. It's an excellent opportunity for local engagement, both with your campus and the surrounding communities. We're providing you up to $250,000 in cash prizes for your TCU. If you counted up all of the funds available from phase 1 all the way through phase 2, 2A, 2B, and 3, there's a lot of money you can potentially win to realize these for your campuses. We ask that giving you the opportunity to increase the use of renewable energy on tribal lands, help TCUs grow food, and obviously gain some of that leadership experience along the way. And finally, your participation in the U.S. Department of Energy's Indian Energy Annual Program Review in Denver with expenses covered is another great opportunity for you to network and share these ideas and meet other peers at other TCUs. So what are the next steps to get involved? So easiest thing is to first follow the Energy and Food Sovereignty Nexus Prize on herox.com. So herox.com is our prize platform. It's a website with which you can sign up and basically get all of the updates posted related to this prize. We'll ask you to create a HeroX account and click solve this challenge. You'll see a screenshot on the right, kind of where those buttons are that you'll see if you go to this URL. And just some kind of like housekeeping logistics on this. A singular account of a team captain will submit the official proposal, but all team members may also create an account in HeroX and join the virtual team on HeroX. So essentially, one account will be designated as the team captain and the primary submitter to the project, but others may kind of virtually join a team as part of the HeroX platform as well. Just one more reminder that for phase 1, all of the required elements of the submission package that I mentioned, so the video, the cover page, the PowerPoint, the narrative, and letters of support will be due on December 4th, 2024. now going to do a brief walkthrough of the HeroX platform, just to show everyone how to navigate the website. So if you'll notice, looks very similar to that screenshot on the last page. And so up here in the corner, you'll have the choice to follow this challenge, in which case you will be signed up for all of kind of any notifications that get posted, any updates. You'll scroll down here, it'll say solve this entry, just like it did on the screenshot. I already clicked on solve this entry, so this is what it will look like after you kind of already complete that step. And you'll notice there are two options here. You can either begin an entry or join a team. So if you're the team captain, you can click begin entry right here, and it'll take you to the submission form. So if you click on that, you will see there's the introduction section, there's the eligibility acknowledgement, and then the different submission elements beyond that. And you can also join the team if you would like to create an account and associate with a team captain who will be leading your submission. And just kind of other logistics about the website, the summary tab will cover a lot of the same information that we talked about today. The timeline will remind you of when the deadlines are and subsequent phases. Kind of be on the lookout for more specific dates beyond this first phase. We're working on finalizing those dates, the April and September deadlines I mentioned. We'll work on getting those posted as soon as we have final dates. The update section will be things like reminders about webinars, other resources, those office hours from the Power Connector will all be posted here. Forum is a place if you have any questions you would like answered and would like to share them in a public format. If there's any general questions about, if one kind of technology or energy or food sovereignty idea kind of qualifies under the guise of the prize, we strongly encourage you to post it here so everyone can see the answer and everyone has kind of that equal access to being kept in the loop about this. And resources are where you'll find things like the official prize rules. And once we have the office hour schedule for your Power Connector, those will also be posted here, as well as any other resources along the way. For example, we might roll out like construction guidelines or other things to keep in mind as the prize unfolds. So those will be under the resources tab. And lastly, there are some frequently asked questions about how to use HeroX or how these challenges work. And all of those questions can be found here. And with that, that is the end of our kickoff webinar presentation. We're now very happy to answer any questions you might have. We understand there are some in the chat, so I think we will kind of answer those questions as they have been received. And if we get through those questions, we can kind of open the floor and accept verbal questions from the audience as well.
Nice, thank you. And yes, feel free to ask any questions in the chat that you'd like to. We welcome any and all questions. And then, like Danny said, we could also ask verbally in a moment. But we have two questions at the moment in the chat. And the first one is, how can private sector entities partner with TCU-led teams? What role could the company play, i.e. R&D, project management assistance, etc.?
Stephanie, would you like to address this question, or would we like to circle back to this with kind of more formal guidance?
I can answer it at a high level and say that it's up to the TCUs to reach out to the private sector companies for partnership. But I think we can provide some more formal guidance after the webinar.
Yes, thank you. And then one more question, which might be a little more simple, is can more than one team apply from a TCU?
No, it's only one team per TCU can apply. So if there are multiple groups of students who have ideas, we encourage you to come together and form a singular team with a defined idea and work together on a project rather than have two separate projects.
Thanks. Thank you. And at the moment, that is all the questions we have. But if anyone has more questions, please feel free to ask. And while we wait a couple moments for that, I will just quickly say in the webinar chat, I put a couple of resources to the HeroX page that Danny had demonstrated, and then also to the official rules. And those official rules are for phase 1, and they are essentially like the source of truth, the more like detail on each of the submission requirements and everything you could look for, you could ask for. All right, another question popped in. Does property access via an MOU qualify as campus as far as location? I can ask that one more time. Does property access via an MOU qualify as campus as far as location?
Stephanie, I'm guessing this might be a kind of a case by case.
I think it is going to be a
basis.
case by case because technically it's supposed to be on tribal land. But yeah, we'd have to review that specific case.
And would you like to follow up with these questions in the forum on HeroX?
Yes, I think that would be a good idea, just so we're being consistent across cases.
Thanks.
If you have any trouble accessing the forum that I walk through on HeroX, you can also send us an email at the TCU Prize email address.
Thanks. All right, and someone just said they apologize and asked if they can have all requirements, please. All right, I think I'll just repost those two links from the chat, but if you want to add anything to that, Danny.
Yes, so best thing I think would be to, if you're able to watch the recording of this webinar where we walked through it, or look through those eligibility rules in the webinar chat. Though the official rules document kind of very in a lot of detail outline what we're looking for in this phase 1 submission. But just a quick overview, it's a short video and a short PowerPoint slide with an overview of the project, a longer project narrative of about 2,500 words that defines in greater detail what your project is about, as well as a letter of support from your sponsoring or the TCU campus on which you're working and proposing the project.
And there is another question. Is there a way for private companies to list their interests and scope to any groups of students that might be interested in their services or abilities?
To list their interest in scope, I'm not sure what interest in scope means in this context.
I believe I have an example from earlier today from a different person who has like modules that they can put on greenhouses, And so if they were interested in, making that available and known to the TCU teams.
Yeah, we have done this on some previous prizes, that if you would like to say that you have capabilities you'd like to share, we have often posted that on kind of like the resources of HeroX. I think we might want to have an internal discussion on this first, and decide what the best way to proceed with it is. But we can certainly follow up once we make a kind of a decision on the best way to go about that.
Great idea. Great. Well, I'll just give it one more moment to see if any other questions come in. But at this point, that is all of them. And just as we give it one more moment, just a reminder of those next steps. First and foremost is to follow that HeroX page so that you will be updated of any notifications like deadline reminders and more. And then to create a HeroX account. Those are the two biggest, or like, I guess, simplest things, fast, easy things to do. And then if you know you're more interested, to read the official rules before applying. All right, well, I think that is all of the questions that we have for today.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining our webinar. We will certainly be making this recording available if you'd like to share it with anyone who you think would be a great fit for this prize, but wasn't able to make it today. And we hope to see questions and submissions from anyone who's interested come the December 4th deadline. And by all means, please reach out with any questions in the meantime.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.